Hello viewers, this is Sentai Michael from Screen Review, bringing you a new podcast on my topic called the Super Sentai Review. And like always, I'm going to speak very loudly, very clearly, and very slowly, in case you don't understand me. Also, I try to do my best not to bitch hard during this art podcast recording as well, not to cause any art feedback as well. And also, if you're under 18, this art podcast recording will have adult language. If you're under 18, this art podcast, this art podcast recording will have some adult language. If you're under 18, now if you're over 18, then you get to watch this art podcast recording. Now, with this and everything else out the way, let's get into the latest episode of Gozyuger. So basically, we see Miss Lady Bouquet, at the headquarters, having her little Riku shrine. As of right now, she does not know that Riku is the Blue Ranger at the moment. So basically, she doesn't really know the identity that Riku is the Blue Ranger, but since Riku is a pop idol and whatnot, she has a mad crush on her, has a mad crush on him, and therefore she had made this Riku shrine at the vital headquarters for Riku and whatnot. So basically, she deeply have a loving crush on Riku, and that's when Tega June's door opened, and Queen Tega June was like, hey, why are you wasting your time on that stupid pop idol in your stupid shrine and that cross and whatnot? And basically, that's when Mr. Shiny Knife and Miss Sweetcake got on her case as well. Like, hey, you should be, you shouldn't be obsessing over that human. Once we rewrite the world and whatnot. That human will be lucky enough to exist in our new world we're trying to create and whatnot. So basically, so Miss Bouquet stood up to herself, justify herself about her and Riku, like he wants to be with Riku and whatnot, and etc. etc. And basically, stood up to herself and basically, told us Queen Tekajun, Shiny Knife, and Miss Sweetcake and whatnot, and stormed out of the headquarters. So anyway, Kwan was there, and and he didn't really like how Miss Bouquet is kind of was act towards her superior. So when Miss Bouquet went to Earth, Quan fought her and basically uses Tega June gun to shoot Lady Bouquet in the head and cause her to lose her memories, give her amnesia. So basically, we see Mesh and Shido pass by a bunch of kids who was poking Miss Bouquet, who was still unconscious after being shot in the head. Well, basically, she got like a laser shock to the head. So basically, that caused her to lose her, caused her to get amnesia and whatnot, etc., etc. So basically, the boys told him to stop poking that person, whoever that unconscious person. And it turns out once Miss Lady Bouquet woke up, he was like, "Oh, damn it, I regret this. I regret saying you right now." So basically, Lady Bouquet, do you know who I am? And basically, Machino was like, are you messing with me? You don't have any memory of who I am. So she said, no, I do not. So basically, Miss Chino felt like, this could be a trap, but at the same time, he was like, whatever. Whatever, but pity to her, and basically, and let her tag along. Let her, tag along with him. Let Lady. So basically, Mesh, let Lady Bouquet tag along with him until she got her memory back. And basically, and that's when we see this money monster, stealing the kid's money, who was poking at Lady Bouquet earlier. And basically, the monster was not confronted, because the rest of the Rangers were at the bouquet, were at the cafe, basically got an invite from House, but Kron's company, to go see Kron's to go see Kwan's company tour and whatnot. So basically, the Rangers felt that this could be a trap. So basically, well, it could be a trap, but a free tour. At least we can get some information about my brother's company. So basically, they was like, okay, then, should we get should we, like the rest of the Rangers, like, should we try to contact Shannon to come with us? There's no time. So basically, they went to the company. The tour guide, who was probably one of Kwan's assistants, showed her around and basically doing some crazy, showing around the tour of the company. So basically, genetics, robots, and stuff like that, etc., etc. 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 But while that was going on, while the other Rangers were on tour, it turns out that that Korn does make most of his money, doing crazy stuff for rich people and whatnot. So basically, he took Miss Bill K to find a rich dude's dog somewhere in Saudi Arabia, and basically he made a lot of money for finding that dog and whatnot. So basically, Miss Bouquet is like, it's all about the money about you. Like, no, it's not. And basically, we have a flashback, when he had the Goju roof ring before he came go to Poda. He had the Goju roof ring, and say this ring will help us, get plenty of money. So basically, I'm assuming during the flash that this could be a friend, or a friend or a relative of goes to Wolf. He's talking to, and basically about this ring will promise us infinite power and money. So basically whoever this person and goes to Wolf's flashback is tell him that money and power is not everything. So it's the person who that used the money and the power. Makes it valuable and whatnot. So basically, Machino was like, just finish his flashback and whatnot, etc., etc. So basically, a bunch of goons were hassling some shop owners and whatnot, and basically, Golden Roof, decided to take care of it and whatnot, and basically, decided to, turns out those shop owners, turns out those goons were hashing those shop owners because they owed some money, and basically he decided to pay off their debt and whatnot, and therefore, give them the money to pay off their debt and whatnot, and do any, pay off that massive debt to those goons and whatnot, and force the goons to go somewhere else and whatnot. So basically, the people joined them a party and whatnot. So basically, Machino and Miss Bouquet was having a party, after paying off those shop owners' debt to those mob goons and whatnot. Anyway, meanwhile, it was the end of so basically the tour ended at Kwan's company, and basically turns out that the tour guy who was Kwan's assistant had a Sentai ring, basically had the Battle Fever J ring, and transformed into Battle Japan, and basically started to fight the Rangers. So basically the Rangers expected that this could have been could be a trap and whatnot. So anyway, so the Rangers morphed up and basically dealt with the tour guide, but the tour guide activated a power up, attached some power up armor to his Sentai form, and basically used it to put the other Rangers to sleep and capture them. And basically he called Quan that I called Quan on his phone, and basically it's like hey, I captured your brother. Your brother in his friends. So basically, the next phase is to get Miss Bouquet. So anyway, the Money Monster did show up at where the party, where Master Chino and Lady Bouquet was, and basically, Machino morphed up and deal with the Money Monster, and therefore freeing the person who is trapped inside the Money Monster, and therefore and therefore end up destroying the monster and whatnot. So anyway, that's when Fire Candle came, and so hey, Lady Bouquet, I was looking for you. So basically I know that I managed to smooth things over with the Queen and with the others. So basically come back with me, to submit this, and basically Lady Bouquet still has Anita didn't know who Fire Candle was, and basically messing explained the situation, and basically but Viking insisted that Lady Bouquet is coming with me. So basically he summoned a giant mecha, another fire mecha, and basically started to and challenged Machino to a mecha fight, and therefore Machino summoned Goodburn, and basically Goodburn refused to fight because he felt jealous of Lady Bouquet, because that Messina was spending more time with Lady Bouquet instead of him. So basically, Five kind of used this to his advantage, and therefore got the upper hand against Machino and the Good Burn Mecha. And basically, out of nowhere, we see Kwan's assistant, who has the Battle J Fever Japan upgrade and whatnot, and basically ends up casting Miss Bouquet, and the episode ended with Machino and Fire Candle looking at Korn's assistant, taking away Miss Bouquet, and saying that you're gonna be very useful for our plans. And this is how the episode ended on this note. So anyway, pretty much, this episode is going to be a two-parter and whatnot, and basically it seems like Quan did had a plan for Miss Bouquet by taking away her memories and whatnot. So basically, turns out whatever plan that Quan and his assistant has, and with the Rangers as well, it's gonna be a grand one. So anyway, what do you guys think about this latest episode of a Gozyuger? Good, bad, or just okay? Please let me know with the comment below. Anyway, signing off. 1,